From the station that made country music famous, 650 AM WSM, this is a Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Hey, it's Charlie Matos, and in this episode, we sit down with our buddy Breland. A lot to catch up with Breland. A recent #1 record, his first with Dierks Bentley and Hardy. A monumental year, including an Opry debut, performances on both the ACM and CMA awards. And speaking of the Opry, Breland is our Opry NextStage artist for July of 2022. Enjoy our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast with Breland.
I'm going cross country, know they might judge me, but I ain't gotta prove them wrong.
.904 in America's Music City on 650 AM WSM, and that's Cross Country with Breland. Walk right in, sit right down.
What's up?
Daddy let your mind roll on. How are you?
I'm great.
You're live, by the way. I just wanted you to know that.
Yeah. A little on-air sign.
So you've got a good tour of the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center?
I did not realize it was so big.
You've got your cardio for the day?
Yes. Yeah, I've got my steps in.
So do you have an exercise regimen?
You know, I do. I play a lot of basketball, run a lot, and I play a lot of shows.
Yeah.
That helps.
So how's your basketball game?
It's pretty smooth.
Is it?
I mean, honestly, I can't really say that. I have a very unconventional game because I grew up always being the shortest person playing, and I'm left-handed. So, like, when people watch me, they're like, what's the deal? And it's like, if you knew I was always the shortest person, like my moves are like trying to get past taller people.
Yeah.
So it's not conventional, but I'm pretty good.
Are you like Dan Patrick? I heard once, he played some college ball, and Dan Patrick said, listen, I couldn't score, but I sure could shoot.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Well, you're on your way to the Opry, man. Thanks for coming by to see us this morning. Will you be back on the complex tonight?
I will, yeah. I'm super excited. It's been a few months since I've been at the Opry, but I've done a bunch of stuff with them in the meantime.
Recount that night, recap, if you will, revisit for the audience who maybe they were a part of it, listening or watching, or they're hearing about it for the first time from your perspective as you look back over the things that have happened since then.
Yeah. Well, my Opry debut is not quite a year ago. And I feel like since that moment, there's been a lot of really exciting things happen. I've been on the road a lot, playing a lot of shows. I was chosen for the Opry NextStage campaign. I'm sure we'll probably get into that
for the
a
month
little
of
later.
July. You are our Opry NextStage artist. How did they break that news to you?
Well, I guess they kind of broke it to management, and then they kind of sent me a text, which is usually the chain of command. But those are the best texts to get.
Do you remember where you were when you read the text?
Yeah, I was in the studio,
okay.
And they were like, "Hey, the Opry has this program, and up and coming artists are a part of it." And they told me who had been a part of it previously. I was like, "Oh, it's a no-brainer, of course." Mm-hmm. I was like, "I'm down."
Well, tonight it's Jeannie Seeley.
Yep.
And then you're up, followed by Maggie Rose, the Earls of Leicester. Wade Bowen is in town, Dusty Slay, Lori Morgan, and Jamie Johnson, our newest member of the Grand Ole Opry, will be there tonight.
I sang Jamie Johnson's verse on Dierks Bentley's Bad Angel with him in Canada last week.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So tell me about the Dierks tour and your friendship with Dierks and how all that came about. Because you are known for your collaborations.
Yeah.
I mean, it just goes on and on and on, it seems, whether it's out on the road with Chris Young or in the studio with Sam Hunt. Or,
Yeah, Dierks is, he's definitely a mentor and a friend to me at this point. Kind of started with him reaching out, wanting to see what I could add to his song Beers on Me. And you never really know what happens with those collabs when you get in the studio. Some songs never see the light of day. Some do, but they're just like an album cut. He made it a single, took it to country radio.
Is it true that you said, wait, I want a piece of the action here.
Of course.
I got a verse and a chorus here.
Yeah, I was like, let me write my own verse, because I also felt like the verse that they had, which is ultimately the verse that Hardy ended up singing on the song, made a lot of sense for Dierks or Hardy to sing, but just based on my general approach to things, I was like, I feel like I could probably come a little differently, and definitely also would love to be a part of the writing of the song too. So he was gracious enough to open 8 bars for me and see what I could do, and it came together super quickly. And then ultimately, he took it to country radio. He made it the name of his tour, brought me out on a bunch of dates. And since then, anytime we're in the same city, it's on and popping.
And was your first number one?
And it was my first number one.
Pretty cool.
His 20th or 21st or something, but we got to start somewhere.
You got to have a number one at some point.
Yeah,
you got to be the first number one.
Start
right?
somewhere.
Yeah.
Who was the first established artist you met when you got to town?
I guess it would be Sam Hunt, actually, because I didn't even live in town yet, and only had one song out, and he heard it, came across it.
That was My Truck, right?
It was My Truck, and he wanted to get on the remix. I guess his band had been listening to it out on the road, and ultimately he got on it. I came out here for like 3 or 4 days. We wrote a bunch more music. Hopefully some of that music sees the light of day. But for him to put his stamp of approval on me at that time, when people were like, who is this kid? What's his deal? Like, is he going to stay in country? What's the vibes? And Sam kind of understood it, and he's been in that position before as someone that people might have been like unsure of the authenticity of, his genre, and what he contributes to the format. But he's weathered those storms, and I feel like that vote of confidence has taken me a long way as well.
Who's the first country artist? Is this kid from New Jersey who goes to Georgetown? We'll talk more about that. Who's the first country artist you remember connecting with as a listener?
As a
music
listener,
on a radio?
Probably Lady A.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Need You Now is just a favorite of mine. I just feel like the chorus on that song is so massive, and it really crossed over. It might have been them in maybe late high school or early college days where I was like, yo, this song is amazing.
Well, Daniel Gerard Breland is in studio with us.
We're here.
Morning. Who you named after? Or did it just come up with
No, it's just a name. It's a biblical name.
And church was a big part of growing up for you?
Definitely, yeah. Both of my parents are ministers. They met in a gospel choir. They sing together all the time.
And we're going to see some of that a little later on.
We might see some of that later on, yeah.
The family is standing in the kitchen singing.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Yeah. Did you think about the ministry at all? Did it ever cross your mind?
I did, and I kind of felt like ultimately, whether I'm singing a gospel message or not, that the light that I bring to a stage or to a room is ultimately going to do the same work. Mm-hmm. And so I just kind of trusted that process and recognized that we're all called to do something. And what I'm called to do is a little different than what they were, but I feel like it all works for the same good.
Yeah, 2 preachers' kids in the studio.
Come on now.
Something on Coffee, Country, and Cody from 650 AM WSM and Circle Television. We got more coming up.
I'm going cross country. I won't stop running till I find where I belong. I'm going cross country. No, they might judge me. I ain't gotta prove them wrong. 'Cause I know it's okay to be in my own lane when I'm doing what they say can't be done. I'm going cross country. I won't stop running till I find where I belong. Where I belong. It don't matter how you worship, and I say, win or lose, praise the Lord for Southern Vinny, Henny Genji, crispy chicken. Praise the Lord for East Atlanta, country grandma, and banana. Praise the Lord that I got everything I want and need and more. I might turn up on Saturday, but first thing Sunday morning, I praise the Lord.
Preach it, brother. Breland is in studio this morning, and you mentioned in getting to know a little bit about your family. Your mom and dad were ministers, but your grandfather as well. So
Yes,
so you're steeped in that preaching tradition.
Yeah,
huh?
we're out here.
And where you said your grandfather was a Baptist minister?
Yes, yeah, he's a Baptist preacher down outside of Atlanta. He's been out there for a long time. And
how did you guys wind up in New Jersey?
My parents went to Howard University in D.C. and then my dad ended up getting his first job out of law school in New Jersey. So I guess then when my mom graduated, she ended up moving up there to be with him. They didn't have any Jersey roots. It just so happened that he got employed there, and then that's where I was born.
I read where you had a chance to go to the Clive Davis Academy in New York, but you turned it down, and then went to Georgetown and studied business. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I shout out to NYU Tisch program. I definitely knew that was a strong program for musicians, and schools like Berkeley and Belmont have these amazing music programs, and definitely don't knock anyone who chooses to go there. I just felt like for me, I knew I was going to do music regardless, and what I didn't have was any knowledge of how to run a business. And so I was like, if I can figure out the business component and continue working on the music component, it'll be pretty compelling once either of those falls into place, or both of them. And so
they both have.
They both are to an extent. So, I think it was the right move for me. I'm always someone that when an opportunity comes up or I'm at a crossroads of should I do this or should I do this, I have really great counsel, with my parents and my family. And also, I pray a lot. And that was one that just kind of made the most sense for me at the time.
Well, I love cities, and I love walking cities.
Yes.
And D.C.
is a walking city.
Oh, God. And Georgetown is the best part of D.C. to me.
Oh, dude,
so for folks who haven't been there, what is that neighborhood like? Because it's just so cool.
It's such a historic neighborhood. It's been around in kind of its original form for a couple hundred years. They don't even have a metro stop in Georgetown, so you really do get around walking. And the university itself has been there for over 200 years, and all of the old brownstones that are kind of along M Street in Wisconsin and N Street and around the campus. It's just really picturesque. It's on a hill. You can overlook the Potomac and see across the water to Northern Virginia. I really enjoyed my time there. Probably could have gone to more classes, but I felt like,
well, listen, John Thompson and Patrick Ewing made it popular all over the world with their basketball program.
Definitely.
If people didn't know Georgetown before, they did after that run. Hey, let's watch your family singing in the kitchen if people want to know where you've got this team.
Yeah, let's see it.
Let's take a look. Joel Wilson, roll it. So for people watching on Circle, listening, tell us who we're seeing and hearing.
That's my family. That's my parents and my older sister, Gigi, from a couple months ago. I get left out a lot these days.
Do you have other siblings?
I have two younger ones. The youngest is she's probably the best singer out of all of us. She's 19.
Oh, wow.
So keep an eye out for her. But my older sister Gigi literally just had her first child 2 days ago.
Oh man!
So I got a FaceTime with a small child before I went on stage in Vegas opening for Brett Eldredge on Saturday. And it was amazing.
Uncle Breland.
Yes.
Yeah. Love the sound of that.
Well, I tell you what, you've gotten to do a bunch of bucket list things.
Yes.
You mentioned the Opry debut was less than a year ago, which seems longer for some reason. I don't know, because you've been so busy and done so many things.
It's been a packed year.
But if I remember correctly, I think within 3 weeks you made your Opry debut.
Yes.
You played the Ryman for the first time.
Yep.
Right? And then performed live on the CMA Awards.
Correct. Yeah. It was my Nashville hat trick.
Wow. Yeah. And then we featured Praise the Lord, which you debuted on the ACM Awards.
Correct.
Yeah. That's a pretty good year.
It's been a great year, man.
I don't want to run out of time, so we've talked about your different collaborations and you're on tour, the Dirks tour, the Chris Young tour that you're part of. They go to your website, they can find out more about where you're going to be. But Keith Urban, where did the two of you meet and collaborate and wind up having a hit together with Throw It Back?
Yeah, we met right at the kind of top of the pandemic back in May of 2020. He reached out and was just like, "Yo, DB, this is Keith," and then in parentheses it said "as in Urban," and I just couldn't really believe it. I was like, "Is this is this Keith Urban? Like, what's going on here? And he was like, I'm gonna give you a call in a little bit. And I'm like sitting by my phone all day. He calls me like 12 hours later. and I was ready for it.
Don't fall asleep.
Yeah, I know. Literally, I pick it up so fast. I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" And I was living in Atlanta at the time, and so he was like, "Let me know whenever you're in Nashville." I was like, "Dude, I'll be there tomorrow morning." And I pulled up at his house at like 8 a.m. He wasn't even ready.
Did you really?
Yeah, he was working out. He was like, "Yo, usually rights in Nashville start at 11. Like what are you doing?" And
I'll go get coffee.
I was so eager. I was so excited. And the first song we did together was "Throw It Back," and I really didn't expect that to be the first song because Keith is kind of like a country classic rocker, in a way,
yeah.
and his influences are a lot different than mine. But he heard something in that chorus and was like, "This is really catchy, this is really good, let's do it." And then we went on to make a bunch more music.
So who have you not collaborated with? I mean, there could be several names on this list, but
Yeah.
who would you love to collaborate with?
Period.
Whether it's country or not.
Yeah, I've been listening a lot to the most recent Miranda Lambert project, and I feel like we could do something really cool, but we'll see when that happens.
Miranda, are you listening?
Come on, Miranda.
Watching? Huh? Breland.
Miranda, as in Lambert.
Yes, Miranda, in parentheses, as in Lambert. We've got hits in our future.
Check your phone. July Opry Next Stage artist Breland, who is playing the Opry tonight. Jeannie Seeley, Breland, Maggie Rose, the Earls of Leicester, Wade Bowen, Dusty Slay, Lori Morgan, and Jamie Johnson. He'll take us home. Big Red Curtain tonight, 7 o'clock. Thank you so much for getting up early and coming in. Congratulations on being the Opry Next Stage artist.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, you want to set this up? Natural is where we're going to close. Go ahead.
Do it.
Give us the backstory on it.
So I'm a big Shania Twain fan. I feel like our origins in country music are a little similar, coming in kind of as potential outsiders. I've just been really inspired by her story. A lot of her music is some of the earliest country music that I got into as crossover records, and I wanted to be able to interpolate one of her songs. Natural does that. It's got a little, I feel like a woman flip to it, and I love this record so much.
Breland on Coffee, Country, and Cody. WSM Radio, Circle Television.
She looks like an angel. She knows what God gave her. It's not every day you see something like that. And I'm feeling thankful. The truck got a tank full. I know how to handle when she drive it like that. She's a bona fide country fried neon light Saturday night.
Thanks for listening to our Coffee, Country, and Cody podcast. Our program director at WSM Radio is J. Patrick Tittle. Our digital producer is Haley Hall. Marketing and promotions director is Amanda Cannon. And I'm Charlie Matos. If you like what you've heard, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review on iTunes. It really does help new people find the show.